This is Michael Spedden, and welcome to Fowl Players Radio, your one-stop shop for all of your pop culture needs. We feature interviews from musicians, actors, comics, dancers, authors, and much, much more, up-and-coming artists and beloved favorites. We've got it all, people on stage, backstage, out front, and behind the scenes. Sit back and relax. Let's have some fun. Hey folks, Michael Spedden here, and you're listening to Fowl Players Radio. We're back for some more Season 11, where we've got 11. And today we had veteran drummer Tom Azzinaro come on to talk about his playing career, his time performing with his wife. His wife, Kat, and he were married for together for over 50 years, performed for well over 40 together, had lots of great memories of opening for bands like Rat and Saxon and Pat Travers and a whole bunch of others, performing in clubs and going around and doing all the heavy metal fests like Milwaukee Metal Fests, the ones in New Jersey and Florida and Texas. And I really enjoyed listening to his stories from over the years. I mean, his career spans back to the late 60s, and he's still going strong, performing with a lot of bands in the area. And again, it's just a lot of really great stories. You can find Tom on Facebook, Tom Azzinaro, and you can also get the Black Widow CDs. One of them is called Satan's Playground. The other one is Soldiers from Hell. You can find it wherever you buy music online. And folks, remember to support our local acts, support your local bands, get out and support your local artists and shop small, buy books, buy tickets to shows, order CDs and t-shirts, anything to help our artists keep going. Remember, buy local or buy local. So we'll be back in just a little bit with Tom Azzinaro. Stay tuned, folks.
Hey, you're listening to Fowl Players Radio. We're Chatterbox. I'm vocalist Billy.
I'm Mike, play drums.
AJ, bass.
Kevin, guitar.
Pay attention to this cat. He knows what he's doing.
Fowl Player Radio.
Michael Spedden, listen.
The Fowl Players of Perryville, the Mid-Atlantic's premier murder mystery company, have upcoming shows on the Western Maryland Scenic Railroad, Fifth Company Brewing, Susky River Beverage Company, Madigan's Waterfront, Maryland Party Boat, and more. If you are interested in seeing a show, our website is www.fowlplayersofperryville.com, and if you are interested in booking us, please reach out to us at foulplayersperryville@yahoo.com or 443-600-0446. Remember, every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. and Sunday at 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time for the replay is The Back of the Rack, the Michael Spedden Show on 97underground.com, Baltimore's pure rock worldwide. We feature blasts from the past, songs you forgot you liked, hidden gems, classics that never die, local and national act interviews, and music from up-and-coming and beloved classic bands. Go to www.97underground.com and download the free app today and listen to us wherever you go, anytime, anywhere. Also, see our archive of interviews on YouTube at 97 Underground Michael Spedden. We thank you for watching and listening to Fowl Players Radio. Our main website is www.fowlplayersradio.com, and our YouTube channel is youtube.com/@fowlplayersradio. Remember, please support our guests in their endeavors. Shop small and buy local. Links to their books, albums, tickets to their shows, and much, much more can be found in the show notes of each episode. Enjoy today's show.
This is Skinzakis, and you're listening to Fowl Players Radio.
And welcome back to Fowl Players Radio. We're in Season 11. We're wrapping up Season 11 because we're getting late into the year. We've got 11. Our seasons go to 11 so far. And hopefully, and we do plan on moving on to 12, so don't go anywhere. So today's guest is Tom Azzinaro. I've made friends with Tom in recent months performing around, the Baltimore scene. He's been a guest on this podcast, with a former band, and he has also been on my 97 Underground show. And today he wants to tell us a lot of the stories he's had, because he's been drumming for a good while now. And he's got a lot of them. So Tom, what can we say, pal? Welcome to the show. Good to have you. And when did all this start for you?
When I was a young boy, I was a
Yeah.
young kid. My interest in music and particularly drumming.
Uh-huh.
That was what caught my ear, right off the bat. I wanted to be a drum. I like drumming. I like to, and it just seemed to me like I'd see guys, you know, uh, playing, when I was a kid on TV or something, and drummer looked like the coolest guy in the band to me anyway, you
Yep.
know.
Yep. Now, where
So
did you grow up?
I grew up in Washington D.C. area,
Okay.
uh, Rockville, the suburbs, Rockville, Wheaton,
Okay.
you know. Uh, so I started showing interest in this. I guess in my, you know, when I was getting into my, 10, 11, 12 years of my teen years, I guess.
Sure. Yeah.
And then I just, like I said, uh, I was talking to you earlier, telling you earlier, my
Mhm.
dad was in it when he was younger too.
Mhm.
And I guess that's where I got my, I'm not sure if that's where I got the interest from or where the inspiration came from, but it was just one of those things that, I knew he played but I wanted to play. But when he found out that I wanted to play, he was like, just
Hmm.
like every parent, get a real job. You know, that's that's not the thing to do. So I guess I started. I went out and because I got no support from my parents, I wanted to play
Mhm.
and play drums, and I just started buying my own pieces. I bought a snare drum first, and then
Mhm.
I started piecing stuff together myself. With my own money, like,
Uh-huh.
mowing lawn, whatever I did to earn some extra money.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So, and then I started just kind of messing around, listening to the music I liked and the records, and listen to the drumming in particular, and try to teach myself a few things.
Mhm.
But didn't really start seriously any professionally doing it until really, I guess, when I met my wife.
Sure.
She's the one that
Sure.
kind of got me in. She's like I said earlier, she's the one. I gotta say she's the one I would say I think that has got me where I am now, and
Mhm.
and who I am. Uh, so I met her. I met my wife very young. She was 15, going on 16.
Mhm.
And I had just graduated from high school, but she was into music too, and she was a singer. She sang in a lot of plays in school, and she did a lot of stuff in school. And then when she got out of school, she got into some bands, and uh, so we met. We got we met here, and then she moved to Omaha, Nebraska, where she was from.
Oh,
Uh, well, we started dating. Her parent and of course she was still living at home. She was still in high school. I had graduated, but we were dating a little bit, and then both her parents were from the Midwest, from Omaha,
sure. Mhm.
and we were out on a date one night, drive-in movie theater. Remember the drive-in movie?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I still go to Benji's from time to time.
Oh, really? No, I haven't been to Benji's yet, but everybody
Mhm.
says you got to go.
Oh,
The
yeah, yeah, it's
experience.
well worth it. It's definitely well worth it, sure.
So we're sitting there, we're sitting in the drive-in one night. And she says, "I got something to tell you." And I said, "What?" She said, "I'm moving." And I said, "You're what?" Because we were getting pretty serious. I was pretty serious about her.
Mhm.
And she said, "I'm moving." And she said, "I'm moving back to, well, no, let me see. She was moving back. She was moving to Detroit because her father was the head of the Mustang club
Mhm.
through Ford.
Oh, right, right, right.
So he was going to get a job in Detroit. So they moved to Detroit. So she moved to Detroit, and then she moved back to Omaha. She was in Detroit for a few years went to school there, and then she had a grandmother that lived in Omaha, where her parents were from, and then she moved to Omaha by herself and lived with her grandmother for a while. We were still in contact. We were in love with each other. We just, and I chased her down, and I kept in contact with her and everything. And then I moved. I went to visit her in Omaha a couple times, liked it out there, and decided to move out there myself. Leave home
Oh,
and move out there
okay.
myself. At the time I moved out to Omaha, she was working. She had graduated from high school, and she was working in a recording studio out there. She knew my interest in drumming, and she came home one day from work and she said, "I got a guy that's come in the recording studio, a jazz player. He's in a jazz band, but he gives lessons. Are you interested? I can hook you up with this guy to take lessons." So that was kind of the start. So I hooked up with this guy to take lessons at the studio in Omaha, jazz guy. Then he went on and he taught me the basics. And then you're talking, this was back in 1967, I believe.
Okay.
1967. And then he left to go on the road with his band and turned me over to another teacher out there, another jazz guy. Well, I took lessons from this jazz guy for a couple months, but jazz wasn't my thing. I was, by that time I was into the rock thing.
Sure, certainly. Yeah. Yeah.
So I found somebody else that, to take lessons from, and then I kind of stopped taking lessons. But I bought my first drum kit out there, and I played a little bit out there, but didn't play in any bands out there. I just played. My wife was a singer in a band out there.
Yep.
Pretty popular band. But then we got married in 1969 out in Omaha. Then we decided to move back here because where I'm from, and we moved back here. And she had left the band she was in, but we moved back here. I bought my drum set back here, and we just kind of, to fast forward, we lived out here for a while before, and then we kind of were talking about let's start our own band, And this was we got married in 69, so I think this was about 1970, 71. We decided, let's start our own band. She was a singer, great singer. I don't know if you've ever heard any of the stuff that
I've heard some of the Black Widow.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And I've also, not only have I heard that, but I've just heard, a lot of people just from, when we're out at the clubs and things like that, and we're mingling, just a number of people have just said the greatest things about her, both talent wise and personally.
Yeah. She was quite an amazing woman. She was the kind of woman, everybody loved that woman. She was something about her. She just was, she had the biggest heart in the world, most forgiving. This woman was absolutely like no other I've ever met.
Sure.
So, we walk into a club together, and it'll be almost like everything would stop. Oh my God, Kat's here. That's the kind of woman she was. But
like E.F. Hutton, huh?
Yeah. 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 So we started playing around here. She was singing, and a lot of the female singers around here that have been around for a while, like Jackie and Dying Breed and Abby and Scarlet Angel.
Oh yeah, know them well.
They will. You can ask them. They'll tell you. Kat was a big influence on a lot of female, lead singer, especially what we were doing, because this was early in I guess, like I said, 70s, 80s, and we were doing we were doing covers at the time, but she was singing like Led Zeppelin and AC/DC and you know, pretty much male dominated stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
She was just killing it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody, and she would, you know, she was getting write-ups in the local papers and everything. So big influence on a lot of, you know, a lot of the, you know, the older female singers around here now. Kind of a pioneer. Uh, and I got her. Have you ever heard of the Maryland Music Entertainment Hall of Fame?
Yes, I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
I got her nominated. Uh, got her nominated and inducted the year COVID hit.
Oh yeah, I know I was looking at that because I know a number of people that are in there. And Jackie, you just mentioned Jackie. I've had her
Jackie
on the
Gleason.
show, and I've
Yep.
known her. My band and when she was in Scarlet Angel, she's back now too.
Yeah, I know.
Yep. We played shows with them, I think in maybe 87, 88 around that time.
Mm-hmm.
So but yeah, she's in there. Yeah, there's a bunch of other ones too.
Spike Settles from Never Never's in there too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that Tommy Van, I think, was pretty
Yes.
active in that, and I know he's passed. I had him on the show too.
Yeah.
And I know he and a couple of other people that were in his that handled his music and everything were kind of involved in the nomination process. And but it was like kind of right after COVID. I know when Tommy passed away. I'm not
Right.
sure if they're still doing that or not. But,
No, that was put on after COVID. They kind of shut it down after
yeah,
COVID,
yeah.
and then Tommy passed away.
Hmm.
Because I think he was, I'm maybe mistaken, but I think he was kind of the head honcho of that thing. I think
Yeah.
he was maybe been president,
Hmm.
and Richard Shelton was involved. You know,
Yes.
Richard Shelton.
I've spoken to him on.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was involved in it, but they shut it down, and he just had put something out. Matter of fact, I messaged him the other day. He had something on Facebook that they were thinking about starting it up again, maybe next year.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's good, because I think I'd spoken to him, and
So
I'll tell you, I'll elaborate off the air, but there was a couple of people I was trying to get nominated. Some people I thought wouldn't be bad people to be in there, but that's another story for another time.
yeah. So anyway, I got her nominated in 2020, and that was 2 years after she had passed away.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, I guess it's what do they call it, post whatever,
posthumous or posthumous, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nominated. So, but I guess we started playing in bands together around here in late 60s, early 70s.
Oh, wow.
First band we had was Shock. Yeah. Cover band. And then we had another band after that called Steel Winch.
Mm-hmm.
And I think let me think here. Let me see. It was I think we were just a cover band. We were a cover band for many years. And then we got kind of interested in we had a band together, and there wasn't Black Widow yet, I don't think. But we were talking about making it, instead of just playing in cover bands around here. So we tried to, we got a band together. We auditioned some players, and we started playing around here. That was Black Widow. I think it was the first formation of Black Widow it was in the 90s, 1995, early 90s. And we started as a cover band, but then we said, if we're going to do something with this, we got to start doing originals and,
yeah. Yep. Now let's just rewind just a second here to go back to some of the bands that you had in the 70s. What rooms were you playing around here?
Oh God, we played the Paragon in College Park.
Oh yeah, I remember that place. I did too.
Yeah, we played God, phew. Man.
with DC clubs or anything, or Maryland?
Yeah, what's it? There was a club down on as you go down into Georgetown. What was the name of that club down there
The
on
Bayou?
the huh?
The Bayou?
Bayou. We did the Bayou one. We played the Bayou a couple times.
Mhm.
We played what was the name of that club going down in the on as you go down into Georgia on Georgia Avenue.
Crazy Horse or something like that?
Crazy, yes,
Yeah,
crazy,
okay.
yeah. Yeah, throw the names out and they'll come back to me. Crazy Horse, we did the Crazy Horse. Uh, uh, I
So you were
should have should have wrote all this stuff down because you know.
so you were probably playing along with like August and DC Star and a lot of
Yes,
those guys.
yeah,
Yeah.
and Jerry Bosick, the
Mhm. Yeah.
drummer in that band, used to run sound for Cat and I.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've had Jerry on the show with August. They're still making music now
Yeah,
too.
I see that. Yeah,
Yep. Jerry Bozick, John Piette, Kevin Schmidt. And they would talk about those days. I tell you, you guys were working those clubs in those days. Those were
yeah,
like every night of the week, and you were doing about 6 sets, weren't you?
yeah, yeah. They were long nights. I remember. Well, we were
Mm-hmm.
doing. I remember doing 4 sets.
Mm-hmm.
I remember we used to do 4 sets, and you get what, a half-hour break, maybe 15 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Between sets. Uh, but I can't remember some of the other. I can't remember some of the other rooms. But I mean, we played in Tacoma Park. There was a couple places in Tacoma Park. We played down DC. I don't remember doing much in the. Oh yeah, we did do some Baltimore stuff too.
Um,
Uh,
yeah, you'd mentioned the Paragon too. Did you have as much fun lugging your drums up those steps as I
oh
did
my God.
lugging
Well,
my Ampeg rig up?
yeah. Well, trying getting it over that wall and then
Yeah.
going up to get you know. And I remember you used to at one point they were letting you load in and out through the in the back of the alley,
Mm-hmm.
but they stopped that. So they
Mm,
made you bring everything in the front door up to the steps and
mm.
yeah. Yeah, those were the days, right?
Oh yeah, I know. I'd done that room a number of times in the early '90s, and that was brutal. That was brutal, especially when and back in those days things weren't as compact, because did they have a house PA back then, or were you lugging a PA in and out of that too?
They had a house PA back then
Okay,
when I
okay.
played. They did have a house PA when you were there?
Well, no, but there were other places that had stairs from hell that didn't have house PAs.
I
I don't
yeah,
know if
I
you
got
remembered. Do you remember Feathers?
yes,
Feathers Lounge in
yeah,
Baltimore.
yeah.
Yeah, we had to bring a PA down there a couple of times too. And I had a friend of mine band that I used to roadie for called Winter Sun, and they had a really old school community PA system. And I mean, God, these things, that PA was massive, even for a small room like that. And up and down the steps weren't as bad as the Paragon, but they were still something to be definitely a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, yeah. There was a couple bigger rooms in Baltimore we used to play where the national acts would come through there too. And I can't remember. There was a one big main spot in Baltimore that's now a pharmacy. They I
Oh, the
can't remember
network.
the network.
Yeah.
Yeah, well that was under several different names. I remember.
Yeah, the network, AL Gators,
Yes,
Daytonas, and then
yeah.
before that, I think it was called the Sandbar, maybe.
Sandbar.
Yep.
Sandbar. Yeah, we played up there when it was the Sandbar. We played up there when it was Daytona's. We played,
Hmm.
and it was one guy that ran that place. I can't remember his name. He's since passed away too. You remember his name?
Bob Schmuff.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Well, you get to learn names from A, playing around here, and B, doing a lot of these interviews. So, yeah, he ended up running, or I think right before he passed away, he had a place up in Perry Hall he was running.
Yep.
And I can't remember the name of it. It was within the last 10 years or so.
Yeah.
It was right at it was turned into a seafood restaurant now.
Hmm.
But you know where I'm talking about. It's like
Yeah.
when you get like actually kind of past getting towards Kingsville is where it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, I can't remember the name of that place either.
Yep. But I did a benefit there. I played a benefit there maybe in 2012. It was right after that tidal wave. The tsunami hit Japan. It was a benefit. It was like a benefit for a humanitarian group that was giving aid to the people,
Okay.
the victims of that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I played there once, but I can't remember the name of it, and I'm not going to go looking on my phone for it now neither. But
I know I got my phone right here, and I was thinking about maybe
mhm,
trying to pull up some of those names, but
right, right now, did you do any Virginia clubs?
yes, we did. We did Jack's in
Jacks, yeah.
Springfield.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of a big thing for us. That one, when we did Jack's, we opened for a lot of nationals down there.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
Jay Nedry owned that.
yeah, and they're back as of the other
Yeah, but
week. It's going to be like one night a week or something. But
yeah, and I
yeah,
think from what I understand, Jay is I think it's just going to be the the band
road,
he's in,
road ducks.
Road Ducks. I think
Hmm.
it's just going to be a Road Ducks kind of a
Oh,
thing.
well.
From what I understand so far, I don't know.
Hmm.
You know,
Yep. Did you do any places? Let me see. What else was down in Virginia?
yes, we did a lot. There was a lot of I can't remember the names though. There was a lot of like little, the dive bars down there.
Yeah, well, yeah, and again, they changed names so often too. I mean, there were some that had the same thing for a long time, but then there were some of them. It was like every year they were changing into something else.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We
Um,
played. Yeah, we played all those places.
mhm.
You know.
Did you ever do
Uh,
930?
no, never
No.
got into
Okay.
the 930 club.
Yeah, I did that once. And I tell you something, they were good owners down there, and I think it's still the same people even today that run it. But
Yeah,
we got booked there, and we walk in, and they were greeted us happily. What can we do to help you guys? We go down there. We actually had a dressing room that was clean,
yeah.
and they had food and drinks. They had a tub full of beer, a tub full of orange juice and soda, a plate of sandwiches,
In the
and
back, in the dressing rooms, right?
yeah, and they
Yeah,
paid us. And
yeah,
I was like, I was waiting for Rod Serling to come out or something, because I didn't I didn't think it was real, but
yeah.
it was a shame, that band didn't last very much longer after that. But we could have probably played there more. And
Did you
they
did
were a
you open for
pleasure.
did you
Um
open for a national act down there or what?
it was a band, and I cannot remember. And truthfully, we didn't really fit with them. I think it was
Yeah,
we got the gig like a week or two because I think somebody pulled out, and I can't remember who it was that we played with, but we were not really in the same genre.
yeah.
It would have been kind of like oh, it would have been kind of like if you booked the Cult with Bob Marley. It was just kind of, you know, um, yeah, hey, why not? But you know what I mean?
Get a chance to play the 930, right?
Exactly. And it was the old 930 too.
Yes, the
So,
one that had the yeah, that was an old building too.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, yep. And
before they moved it.
yeah, right, right. But they were absolutely wonderful. They were absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, we
And
played a place. We opened for Rat one night. You remember that big place that was out in Frederick,
Rabbit's Foot?
Rabbit's Foot?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Big venue. They used to have some. They used to have nationals in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, they
Uh,
sure did.
we opened for Rat there, and it was the same thing. We walked in, and first time we'd ever played there, opening for a national. And I can't remember how we got that. I can't remember how we got that gig.
Yeah.
But we walk in, same thing, dressing room in the back, and there was all kinds of anything you wanted to drink or eat back there.
Mm-hmm.
They really treated. They.
Yeah.
I know when they. I remember when we were ready to go on, they came back and got us and walked us out on stage. I mean, it was like this is pro. they
Yeah,
brought us
yeah.
on stage, and they had a guy get up there and introduce us and everything. And here's I think we were Black Widow at the time,
Okay,
and
okay.
and come to find out that night, this is an interesting story. That night, we found out the guy that was running sound that night uh, was AC/DC's touring sound guy.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
and
Huh.
then that night we played, and we were doing our set, and between songs, our guitar player Johnny said, "Hey, I just saw Jeff LeBar from Cinderella's here."
Hmm.
What is he doing down here? Well, apparently they were in the area.
Yeah, yeah.
He came in. He was there that night. Uh, we met him. Hung out with him, and we did a lot of shows. We did a lot of shows down at Jack's, opening for national acts.
Sure, sure.
Hook up with the you know.
Mhm.
So backtracking a little bit, I guess we formed Black Widow. We were a cover band to start with,
Mhm.
and then we said, we want to go beyond this local cover band thing. In order to do that, we got to start doing originals.
Yep,
So we
yep.
started writing originals. We recorded a CD. The thing with doing originals back then is, we were a cover band, and we started mixing in our originals with the cover stuff we were doing. So
Yeah.
we kind of lost some. It's kind of the same thing around. Well, I'm not telling you anything you don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Originals around here are still a hard sell.
Yes, yes, yes. That's coming ebbs and waves,
Yeah,
but you're right. You're right. It's not as easy as when you're going out and doing the covers, and especially when you're the covers, and then especially too if you're what they call a party band, the
yeah,
ones that are doing yeah, I saw one the other day, and it was just yeah, my whole thing, and I don't know if you agree with me or not. I mean, because you've done both. I've done both.
yeah,
I mean, the cover band thing. I mean, it's not without talent. I mean, there's definitely good players. There's definitely people with excellent chops in these
yeah,
bands. Good singers, good guitar players. But I'm just like, I've always wanted to be myself. You
yeah.
know, I've always wanted to be myself, but myself hasn't always paid the bills,
Exactly. Well,
until
yeah,
now,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, and I agree with you on everything you're saying. And there's nothing. I don't have
Mhm.
anything against. I mean, I did it. I was in Not Dead Yet for 9 years playing
Right,
cover
right.
songs.
Hmm.
Uh,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and then and before the last band, before I was in the last band I was in, and just I don't know. There's two ways to look at it. I mean, I'm like you. I like to, I like, I want to be myself and create too,
Yeah,
and not
yeah.
just do the cover band thing.
And that
But
drives me nuts too, because I see people that they follow these tribute bands, not just cover bands, but they just do like,
yeah,
one band, like an
yeah, yeah,
AC/DC or something
yeah,
like that. And again, I have nothing but respect for the level of skill, the level of talent that these people have. It's not a question of that, but I think it's more the people that follow them and don't have an appreciation for the original stuff that just drives me up the wall sometimes.
yeah,
I'm just like, and like I said, I'm not trying, because again, there's a lot of people in the tribute bands and the cover bands that I certainly respect, admire, consider friends, and have nothing bad to say about. But I'm just like, God, we could be doing so much more around here if people would just go out and do their thing. Somebody would ask me, when I was playing, I did electric bands for 7 years, stopped for a while, came back and did an acoustic guitar duo for, oh God, about 15 years almost. And
yeah,
then, but people are always like, hey, do you do some Rush? I said, no, but I do me, you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. I hear Rush is playing next month if you want to go see them, but while you're here,
yeah,
here we are.
yeah,
And And then somebody else told me one time, and I'm not going to say who it was, but because I can't remember if they told me this while we were recording or not. But they said that they were selling their band's CDs during a break, and they were walking around the room and asking people they wanted to buy a CD. And some lady says, "Oh, does this have you doing Barracuda on it?"
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
The hell?
Right. Yeah.
What the
Yeah.
hell? Anyway, yeah, I just, it just takes, if the crowds around here were a little more open-minded, I think towards it as too. I think the other thing too is that when you have originals playing, musicians appreciate it more, not so much the general public. Do you agree with that?
Yes. And I've tried to explain to people that I know that I'm good friends with and that
Mhm.
know me, and sometimes they'll question if I'm doing something original. Like, well, why are you doing that? And the way I try to explain it to somebody
Mhm.
is the bands that the bands that you're going to see that are playing the cover songs that you like, those bands that are the playing those songs, those bands started as in
Mhm.
those are original songs that they started. They started the same way.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
a lot of those guys they were in cover bands when they were younger. That's how they got their start, and then they started doing their own thing.
Right. Right.
So take any popular song that you can think of,
Mhm.
by any band, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that was an original at one time to
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
audience that they were playing to,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah, yeah, and it's the same thing too on the acting side of it as well. I mean, there are a lot of people around here that do a lot of the community theaters, which is
Yeah,
fine because there are a lot of good people around here, and not everybody on Broadway was born on Broadway. They came from other places. So, um, but the thing is that I don't do a lot of community theater. I do my own.
yeah,
The shows that I do with my murder mystery company, most of them are written by somebody in the group.
okay,
We do our own. That's kind of like doing our own stuff versus being in community theater, being a cover band,
yeah,
almost. And again, I've done rock operas, I got my start in theater and acting doing Jesus Christ Superstar, Joseph the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, the Phantom of the Opera.
yeah,
Because I do sing, and I was able to do, those shows. Um, and other ones too, the Music Man, and but then I kind of wanted to kind of gravitate towards doing sketch comedy and improv, and that sort of thing is usually what I'm a little bit better at. Um, but yeah, it's kind of the same thing, have some appreciation for somebody trying to do something original, their own stuff, really support the artists out there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You got a lot of history too around here. It sounds like.
Oh yeah, yeah, I do. Yeah, yeah, a whole lot of history, a whole lot of smacking my head against the wall, and a whole lot of
We've all,
spinning my wheels and
I've been through the same thing, you
oh
know,
yeah.
through the many years, with
Hmm.
Kat and by myself now since she's passed away, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Uh,
I almost feel like, it's a shame I just never got the chance to meet her because like I said, when we've been out, like around, the people that we hang with, the people that we see at the 97 Underground events and things like that,
yeah.
people have just told me the nicest things about her. And also, hey, we had another band here even pay an homage to her in one of their songs.
Oh yeah, Chatterbox.
Yeah, good guys too, and
Yeah,
they
and
thought
yeah,
very highly of her. I
that
almost feel like I'm missing out, it's
yeah,
just, yeah.
yeah, you know, I'll have to send you some. I've got some performance video of hers,
Okay, yeah,
you know,
please do. I'd love to
that
see it.
I can send you, so at least you can get a taste of what what
Hmm.
she, how she was, and live performance, you know.
Yeah.
But we got, so we decided to do the start throwing some originals in, and we got kind of picked up by independent label, you
Mhm.
know, and we got offered to do some touring around the United States after the first CD came out, which I don't
Oh,
know. Can you see that?
yes, yes.
Yeah,
Hold it up
that's
a little higher. Yes, yeah. I'm seeing the reflection of me in it. But yeah, is it like is that a Ferris carousel?
yeah. I should have
Okay.
taken the wrapping off of it, I guess, but this is the first
Yeah.
CD, and
Okay.
we did that CD, and we got on some we did some touring around the United States with that. With we did some of the big festivals. Remember the big festivals back? You know, the Milwaukee Metal Fest and in New
Yeah, I've heard of.
Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we did those uh, with that. You know, behind that CD,
Mm-hmm.
and and uh, then the second CD, which I think you've heard some stuff off of, the Soldiers from Hell CD, the
Yep.
second one.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one. We did a little bit of touring behind that one too, and both of them they're both still selling
Right. Right. Right.
internationally and everything. You
Mm-hmm.
know.
Now, were you opening for somebody or
Yeah, well,
some,
we were open for national acts, and then when we went on tour, we were playing uh, you know, those big festivals with all the, you know,
oh, sure,
signed
sure.
national acts and everything, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's really neat. And so you did you mentioned Milwaukee Metal Fest.
We did a New Jersey Metal Fest.
Okay.
We did a thing in Florida in Tampa.
Okay.
We
Okay.
did we played up in New Hampshire.
Oh,
I can't
sure.
remember we played Chicago.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Uh we played we did uh I think we did one thing down in Texas,
Mm.
you know.
Got all
So
around with that, huh?
yeah, yeah.
Was life on the road all you thought it was going to be, or was
And
it
well, they but it wasn't we were the only we were into it at the
Yeah,
time. We
yeah.
of course we were younger, but
Hmm.
uh most of the things we did with that were like what they call fly out dates
Yeah, yeah. I did a lot of that, or drive
on the
out. Yeah, yeah.
weekend,
Mhm,
you
yeah,
know,
yep.
because Kat
Hmm.
and I were both working regular jobs back then
Sure. Oh, yeah.
too. So I'd go into my employer on a Thursday and say I'm not going to be here on. Fortunately, my employers were pretty understanding that I had at the time.
Hmm.
But you know, I'm
Yeah.
not going to be here. I'm going to be out of town, leaving tomorrow, Friday, and I'll be back Monday. You
Hmm.
know, and they were like, "Yeah, as long as you're back Monday, you know."
Yep. Yep. Well, that's a good thing to have an employer that's flexible with these things.
Yeah,
That's another obstacle a lot of people have is that.
yeah,
But I remember doing, I did a number of one-offs, or like a one-off, or it wasn't a tour. It was just like we would go out of town, but it was only for one day, and then we'd come back.
yeah.
I remember, and then some of the things that we did back in those days, which were just like at my age, I look back, I'm like, what were you thinking? We had a rider truck we used to take to New York when we did CBGBs. And we had it with 15 or 20 people in the back with couches and all of our equipment. And I'm like, we drive all the way up there. And I'm thinking, years later, I'm like, my God, it's lucky we didn't pull up there and open the back and have 20 dead people from carbon monoxide poisoning or something, or get pulled over for suspicion of human trafficking or something like that with all those people in the back. But
Yeah.
all's well that ends well, I guess. But it was kind of like John Candy and his polka buddies in Home Alone, driving around in that rider truck
Now
playing polka music.
the dates we did uh out of town, we only had to we were only we were they were we were actually well then one day the one in New Hampshire
Uh
we
huh.
drove up there, but
Right.
we only needed all the back line was, you know, provided for at those shows. So we only needed, like, you know, amps and guitars, and I
Sure.
just
Right.
needed breakables, you know.
Hmm.
so they didn't have to carry a lot of equipment. Now we did, you know, when we did Chicago and out in the Midwest and everything, we had. I remember going to the airport and checking in our guitars and some things, and you know,
Mhm.
uh, uh, and then flying out to those and then flying back. You
Sure,
know,
sure, sure. Yeah, those can be fun too. I mean, going out and doing a one-off. Sometimes it is nice to, but we weren't like on any road trips, where we were like, going up and down the East Coast for for days and days and having all these things lined up. It was really just kind of one-offs, which it would have been nice to have some more stories from the road. And I mean, it would have been nice if that band had any real longevity, but I won't get into that.
yeah.
I won't get into that
You
tirade
know,
tonight.
but we were together for the the band. Black Widow, the one that did the 2 CDs and toured, we believe 9-10 years.
Oh, okay, okay.
Did you
That's
catch that? We froze up a little bit.
yeah, yeah. It did freeze up a
Yeah,
little. Yeah, I did. Like 9 or 10 years, you said.
about 9 or 10 years, and then Kat, she had diabetes, so that
Sure.
was starting
Yeah.
to catch up to her, and she couldn't do it. This is back in 2014, and it was necessary to just kind of disband that band because she couldn't really. Her diabetes was getting bad enough where she couldn't really, you know, get up on stage and perform anymore, and it was,
Yeah.
so that's when I got offered the cover band gig.
Sure. Sure.
Not dead yet,
Right.
Not with her blessing though. She was kind of upset about that, but I said, I told her, I said, honey, this is just, I just want to keep playing, and I'm not, at my age, I'm not trying to be a rock star anymore.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
too old
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah. I've heard you.
And
I
she
mean,
understood.
yeah. I mean, you definitely got great chops and everything. Still, I think it's great. That you're doing what you're doing still.
Well, and like I said, she made me promise before she passed away, don't stop doing what you're doing.
Hmm.
And she's a smart woman. She knew
Yeah.
if I stopped, just went into a shell or anything, that would probably be the end of me. You
Right.
know.
Right. Well, the thing is too, it's a very healthy thing to do. I mean, you're moving your entire body. You're going after it's definitely a physical activity. I mean, I think definitely drummers sweat the most at
Yeah.
the end of the gig. And but that's great that she got your encouragement. I mean, how many guys have you heard of out there? Um, they leave a band or something like that because their significant other was not supportive of it. They pretty
Yes.
much, and they kind of nagged their way out of the band. It was fortunate. And the thing is, too, is that I have a wife. My wife is in the business as well. She's an actress.
Okay. Yeah.
So, I don't think I could do this if I were not married to somebody else who's in the arts,
Right.
because of the fact that if you're not in it, you don't understand it, because we're not here because we want to be. We're here because we have to be. This is us.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Yep,
Yep.
this is us. You are, you're Tom the drummer. I'm Mike the actor, DJ, whatever you want to call me this week, whatever hat I feel like wearing. It's just something that you have a real passion for.
Yeah.
Just like whatever else people do. And to take that away from somebody is just really not, that's toxic right there, I think. To make somebody just to deny that. Now, on one hand, you got to have your adult responsibilities covered. You know,
Yep.
you got to make sure your bills are getting paid, and you're not a
Yep.
bum and all that. But on the other hand, if that's being done, why would you take that away?
Yeah. Like I said, uh, at the beginning of this interview, I am where I am and who I am now today because of Cat.
Yeah.
Uh, and the good Lord above, really.
Sure,
I mean,
sure.
those two things. But she was just I can't say enough about her, about how incredible a woman she is. It's
Hmm.
she was just she was I don't know, you know
Yeah.
I still miss her dearly. You
Oh,
know.
I'm sure you do. I mean, I couldn't even imagine going through something like that, I mean, especially with all the time that you'd been together and everything that you'd been through together, all the experiences that you shared, it's I would imagine too, that it's probably still kind of strange to look over, whoever you're playing with, to kind of look over and it's somebody else and not her.
Yeah, uh, but I just always think when I'm back there hitting those drums, I'm thinking that she's looking down and say, "I'm so proud of you."
Oh,
You
I'm
know,
sure she is. I'm sure she
like
is.
she always, when she couldn't do it anymore, and I joined that cover band, uh, she would, even though she was, and her diabetes was getting to the point where she was on dialysis at the end,
Oh,
and
wow.
she didn't always
Yeah.
feel well and everything, but she came to every gig to
Hmm.
support me, every gig. And I would tell her, "Honey, you don't have to come." And
Hmm.
she didn't come because she didn't trust me.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
that was not the point. I mean, we had been married for, you know, we were married for 48 years,
Hmm.
before she passed away, and we were together for over 50 years.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So we knew what we had together. That wasn't the issue wasn't trust. It was just the issue that she wanted to be there to support me.
Yeah, exactly. It was in her blood too. It was in her
Yeah,
blood. And, if she couldn't be there, doing it herself, being there with you while you were doing it,
yeah,
which is,
exactly.
yeah, yeah. And that's the thing too. My wife and I, we perform together sometimes, but then we
Yeah,
also perform apart. And, she does a lot of other things that I don't do as well, but I go to support her. She comes to support me too. And,
yeah,
you know, whether, um, whether it be, being there, sometimes what I have her do too is, whenever we're doing a show, she'll text me notes, whenever my character leaves the stage, I check it and I'm like, turn this microphone up and everything else. And, so she's always, she does that for me. Sometimes she just helps me get when I print my programs, getting them, cut and folded and ready for the show and
yeah,
everything. She does a lot of things to help. And I go to her things a lot too, when she does a lot of singing and cantoring in church and stuff. And
yeah.
also,
I do that
yeah.
too. I do. I play in a praise band Sunday morning. Every Sunday
Oh,
morning.
that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of people are doing that too.
When
That's
and again, this is all because of her.
right,
She was
right.
a. It's another story. She was a. She was. She's always been a very church involved person.
Hmm.
So one church in Silver Spring that she taught Sunday school at
Hmm.
this church in Silver Spring. So she come and like I said, I'm in this playing in church because of her. She comes home one Sunday and I'm sitting on the couch, I'm watching TV or something. She comes in, she says, "Would you be interested in playing in the church band?" And I said, "That church has a church band? Have
Yeah.
a band?" She said, "Yeah, they're looking for a drummer." And I told her you were a drum. I told him you were a drummer. Oh, yeah. So she already got me volunteered, right?
Hmm. You're right, right, right.
So I went in there and I went in there and started playing with these guys one of the rehearsals. And of course I'm a rock drummer, right? So I go in,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
go in, I go in and church is a little bit more laid back.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah.
So I
Yeah.
go in there and we get done going through one song and they all turned around to me and said, "Can you keep it down a little bit?"
Yeah, yeah.
you
Oh,
know,
yeah, I know what you mean by that because, I also did that too at our church. We had a folk ensemble.
okay.
We had, some, services that were, the traditional,
Right.
organ music with a
Yep.
choir, but then they also had guitars and piano.
Right.
for another one. So I did that for a while. But then there were times when I was on the road doing my shows and everything. And I just didn't have the time for it. But I know what you mean by that too, because sometimes I'd be playing and I'd get into a groove and I'd put a slide in, I'd be like, whoa. And the guy was the music director would look at me. He was this Irish guy. He'd say, "Oh, Mike, that's a bit much."
Yeah,
That's a
that's
bit
another
much.
thing. Yeah, but I've learned how to play since I've been doing, since I started doing that at this church that Cat got me involved in. God, that was I want to say that was about 10 years ago. And since then I've learned how to play in church as
Right,
opposed,
right.
you know, and I'm still doing it. It's in another church. Cat had left this church uh, about a year or two before she passed away,
Right,
and we were
right.
both looking for another church, and there happened to be on another church up the street, about 5 minutes up the road that we went to one morning. They had a service outside. It was during the summer, and again,
Yeah.
I got volunteered. They were looking for a drummer,
Right.
and they didn't have a drummer, and Kat went up to the the organist, who's the director of the band, the praise band. And she said, "And you look for a drummer? My husband's a drummer."
Right, right. Yeah,
So that was a year before. See, that was 7 years ago, and I'm with the same band now, the same church, playing at the same church. So
Oh,
that was another thing I promised. She told me, "Don't stop doing what you're doing." So that's another thing I
oh yeah. Yeah, I know it, but those gigs are fun. Those are definitely a lot of fun to do.
yeah,
I enjoy the people and everything.
yes, the people. It's being those people are just it's different than playing in a there's no there's no drama involved, right?
Yep, yeah. I know exactly. It's a good, thing. I like it. You don't have a lot of that. The problems that you have playing in a regular band and stuff like that. Where
Right.
everybody's on their best behaviors. They remember where they are.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you were saying, I know how to play in church now because sometimes I'll get in there and kind of be getting into a particular song, and I may throw a little a little fill in or something, and they'll say just keep it simple.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's what they said to me too when I was when I was up there playing, just being a little more basic, with what I'm
Yep.
playing. I'm not, throwing in a lot of slides or riffs or anything like that. I'm just pretty much just playing the bass note really under the piano
Yeah, that's all
as
I'm.
compared to doing that,
Yeah, that's
So
what I'm doing. What I'm doing on drums is, keep the beat.
yep.
Everything's in either 6/8 or 4/4 or 3/4. You
Yeah,
know.
I know. Yep. So yeah, it's pretty basic, but it's fun too,
Yes, it is. It's a lot of fun. People are fun to play with, and
Mhm.
I get paid for doing it.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
surprisingly, and that
Yep.
came about a few years ago, and I had been doing it for a few years, and the music director said, can you stay a couple minutes after service today? Got something I want to ask you."
hmm
I'm going up. What am I getting fired from this too? Or And he came up to me and he said, would you be interested in getting paid for doing this?" And I said, "Well, that's not why I'm here, but
hmm
yeah, if you want to pay me.
Sure. Yeah. Hey, why not? Why not? So you had told me you had opened for a lot of national acts. Now, can you elaborate on which acts these were? I mean, you had mentioned Rat a little bit earlier out at
Yeah.
the Rabbit's Foot. What were they?
Uh,
What were they like? Did you get a chance to meet them and stuff?
yes, most of them were pretty cool. Got to hang out with them at at the shows, and there was a few of them that kind of were my yeah. How can you say this on the radio or you know some of them were full of themselves, but most of the
Yeah.
guys were cool.
hmm
You know,
Right.
uh, Y&T.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
open for them. Open for Jackal.
Mhm.
Open for Saxon.
Now, what were those guys like?
They were the cool. Those guys. Those European guys are the coolest guys in the world.
Yeah, yeah.
Really
Uh,
cool guys. Yeah.
Did and what do you remember where you opened for them?
There was all the Jacks. We did
Oh,
a lot of
all of these were at Jack's. Wow. Hey,
Jack. Yeah.
that's really cool. And I've seen Saxon so many times over the years. I've always liked them. I took my wife to see UFO with Saxon at Soundstage. She loves UFO.
Me
Saxon was
too.
not her cup of tea. I think Saxon's more of a guy band.
Yeah.
You know, you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah. UFO is one of my favorite, my favorite classic rock bands. I
Oh
love
yeah.
UFO.
Hmm.
Met those guys too down. I met them at the Ram's Head one night
Yes. Yeah.
up in Annapolis.
Were you there? Like it was right before COVID.
Yes.
I was there too.
You
I was
okay?
I was there too. I remember. Do you remember when they were playing? Somebody, inside the building lit some weed and you could smell it everywhere. You remember that? I mean,
Yeah.
and then the
Yeah.
bouncers walked up to this guy and threw him out. And Phil Mogg he's singing, then he stops. He goes, we all smell that. He said something like, "What's that smell?" And everybody starts laughing. He goes, we all smell that. What were you trying to do? How were you were planning on getting away with that? Or didn't he said something like
Yeah.
that,
Well, another thing too, I was sitting back by the sound guy.
Right, right,
And
right.
the sound guy said that Phil had been sick. He was
Mm.
fighting something.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
that bothered him too,
Mm-hmm.
Uh
Yep. And plus he was a little, I could tell during the show, he wasn't too thrilled about the size of the stage at Rams Head Annapolis too.
yeah, yeah. They do. Do you remember the guy that you remember the opening act? The
Yes,
guy
yes,
the guy from Brother Kane?
yes. Uh-huh.
I can't remember his name. I met him too that night, and he was a
Mm-hmm.
really, really, really he's a good singer. Really,
Mm-hmm.
really
Yeah.
good and really good guy too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great show there. That was a great show. Yeah, UFO, we've seen them, like I said, there, and I've seen them a couple of other times over the years. They've
Yeah,
come to
Cat and I
different,
saw him too. Yeah.
yeah.
Another band from back in the day. Well, they're still doing it, but Uriah Heep. That
Oh
was
yes,
another one of my favorite.
I saw them there too. I
Yep.
saw them at Rams Head, and I got my tickets for that late. And I ended up sitting on the side of the stage right next to the drummer. And I'll tell you, that guy's a monster.
Yeah. Yes. Yep.
That guy's an absolute monster. So I think they started out with Look at Yourself and Gypsy.
Yep.
And
Yep.
they blew the roof off of that place. And then I also saw them with Judas Priest at the Anthem about a year after that, I think.
Yes. Because that wasn't too long ago. They did that show.
Yeah, yeah.
The only original member left in that band is Mick Box, the guitar player.
Yes,
But they're
yes.
still a good band.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know.
Yep.
Kat and I used to go to. That was another thing. We had the music thing together. We went to a lot of concerts.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
A lot
There's
of
a
concerts, and
Mhm.
and we took my daughter Tiffany to
Judas Priest was my first one.
Oh, is that right?
Judas Priest was her first one,
And I
but
cried the whole time.
but
Oh,
she
yeah.
loved. We took her. She fell she fell in love with somebody. We took her to another concert, and she fell in love with this guy,
Uh-huh.
Steven Tyler.
Oh,
After she saw Aerosmith with us, that was that.
oh, hey. Well, that's cool. Hey, the whole family can enjoy going to concerts together. I know.
Yeah, my daughter and I and her husband just went to the Baltimore Arena a couple months ago and saw Heart.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. You know who I saw at Rams Head was Heart by Heart. It was the original bass player and drummer from Heart.
Yeah.
both of them in the Hall of Fame, but I
Yeah.
guess they left Hart, I guess sometime in the 80s before they got, Hart really hit it big in the 80s, but they changed their lineup and they had a bunch of other singles and everything that were out
Right.
at
Right.
the time, so yeah, but those two guys were, and the thing is too, it's a lot of people, and this gets on my nerves too. A lot of people are saying, like with Uriah Heep, for example, one original member, oh, they're just a tribute band now. I'm like, I hate that because that singer that was in that band, the guy that they got from, I think he was in Grand Prix before.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's been with them like longer than way longer than David Byron was.
Well, yeah, but
You know,
David Byron passed away from from
yeah,
substance abuse, and this guy that they have now who you're talking about has been with him a long time.
yeah, like 35 years,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's not like it, because I think I got some heat because I put up some posts of like Leonard Skinner when I just saw them up in Woodstock
Okay.
last month, and somebody posted thieves, they're just a tribute band, no original members. Me and my buddies are going to go out and call ourselves the Beatles. And I said, that's not even close to what they're doing. They have Ricky Medlock in the band who was with them in the early 70s and has been with
Yeah.
them constantly for about 30 years.
Right.
The brother, who's been with them well over, God, since 88, probably about 37 years. And the rest of the guys that are touring with them have been, most of them have been there, 20, 15 years. They were the evolution of the band. It's not like a bunch of guys came in off the street and they're doing a tribute band, it's not the same thing, and people, I mean, most of the people that say things like that are non-musicians,
Yeah.
that just gets them. I can't stand that neither. Although they were saying the same thing about Priest, really, because Ian Hill was the only original. Halford was with them and then not and then back. But that drummer that they had, he's been there a good 30 years.
Yes. Yep.
That guitar player, and Tipton would have been there if he wasn't sick, but he came out and he's been doing the tour and coming out a bit, so
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
He's been some off shows with him. I can't remember what he has. I think Tipton has
Parkinson's.
Parkinson's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as we were, kind of mentioning, that was the biggest criticism of that is like, non-musicians, a lot of people just don't understand how a band can continue over the years. And, these are the band members that have been in, these people have been, contributing and everything else over the years.
Well, I
But
think
they're just not the originals,
I think they do it to continue the legacy, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
They continue the legacy of the band. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I mean, people age, and we all get old and pass away. So
Exactly. And again, it's not like, five guys off the street decided to take the band name and run with it.
right, yeah,
It's just how the band lineup has evolved,
right,
so I don't see it that way. But then again, the mentality of some people, and I'll say it so you don't have to, you know,
okay,
so you had mentioned, I think, Pat Travers too, that you had opened
yeah,
for him. Yeah.
yeah. Open for Pat Travers. There was so many, uh, and I mean, those were some another experience that Cat and I had, opening for
Mm-hmm.
nationals, and and it was just did a lot. We did a lot together,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, that's great. I mean, I'm glad that again, I couldn't imagine, and I guess inevitably, it's something that everybody's going to have to face once in a while. But you
Yeah.
had your wife for all those years, and not only that, you shared the better part of your music careers together. Having these memories, and again, having other people out there just saying the greatest things, and even memorializing her in a song that just came out.
that
You know,
that
Rock
that
Ghosts.
really uh really when I first heard that and I was informed of it, I was
Mhm.
like, pretty much it kind of uh I was really taken aback. I mean, I was like, what? You
Mhm.
know? And then when we were at the Fish Head that night,
Yeah.
when they did, for the CD release party, and they did that song, and I was standing right up front, and Billy, the singer, he could, I mean, the waterworks were going. I was just like, I was just, I was just blown. That kind of stuff blows me away, Mike.
Mhm.
I tell everybody I'm humble to the point of stupid. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
because people would say, you're this or that. And I'm going, no, not really. You know,
Mm.
uh, I'm just that kind of person. I just, I've had people tell me, well, Cat's in the Maryland Entertainment Hall of Fame. Why aren't you in it? You should be in it. I'm going, no, I don't think that's Cat deserves it more than me. You know, I don't,
Yeah.
and people come up to you and say, oh, you're this and you're that, and how talented you are. And I say, no, there's a lot more people in this area, just in this area that are, you
Mhm.
know, that.
Well, like I said, y- that's the thing. Maybe someday somebody will nominate you. You know,
Yeah,
and
but,
we'll see what the committee if they ever start doing it again. But I know quite a few people that are in that, and some really great people,
yeah,
some really
yeah,
great people. So I know you had mentioned that you have a number of recordings that you've performed on over the years, with Black Widow.
right.
And are there others? I mean, do you have any of this music, for sale, or anywhere where somebody could buy a copy from you, or are
But
you
yeah,
not doing that really?
the Black Widow stuff is the two Black Widow CDs, uh, Satan's Playground and Soldiers from Hell are still for sale on the well, they were available. They're available on all the download streaming services now.
Oh, okay, like
Yeah,
iTunes and Apple
iTunes,
Music and everything.
all that still is available on there. Used to be a thing called CD Baby.
Yeah, I did that too.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
I just got a notice from them not too long ago that I think they're going to discontinue that.
Yes, I think they're not going to sell CDs anymore, but just
Right.
digital,
Yeah,
where
but
everybody.
CD
Yeah.
Baby has all the digital,
Okay.
you know,
Yep. So
copies of that. Yeah,
right.
the
So
stuff's still selling. I get a small check. I mean, but I get a check every couple months for download sales, and
right.
you know,
Mhm.
so the stuff's still selling. I mean, people around the world are still hearing Cat sing.
Oh,
You
that's
know,
great. That's great. Hey, she lives on.
yeah, she does, and
She
she
lives
lives
on.
on in the heart of a lot of people, and she's still with me. And like I said at the beginning of this thing, I wouldn't be who I am and where I am without her. You
Wonderful.
know,
Yeah. Well, great.
I
Great. Well,
owe this all to her, and I'm just I'm just one blessed lucky guy. You know,
right. Right. Well, hey, like I said, it's very fortunate to be able to spend the time that you did with somebody who has the same interest and the same passion for music and the arts. So you really found somebody who was, good for you in that way, which is wonderful.
yeah,
And I'm happy that you got to spend, the big part of your life that you did, working with her, being married to her. You've raised a nice family, it looks like. And that's just, absolutely, I just wish I could have met her. That's the only regret that I have out of the whole
yeah,
thing. But
yeah. A lot of people, and like I said, the one thing she told me before she passed away: do not stop doing what you're doing. I made that promise to her, and as I'm fortunate that at my age to still be able to do what I do.
mhm,
I'm blessed in that regard too. My
mhm.
father passed away when he was 98 years old,
Wow.
so
No kidding.
I guess I have his genes. You
Yeah,
know,
maybe so. Maybe so. Well, amen. Yeah, hey, amen to you. Keep it up. Keep it up. And I know you've got some shows coming up. You've been doing some filling in with some bands lately.
Yeah, I'm gonna fill.
Heel.
I'm doing a this coming Friday at the Fish End. I'm doing a fill in for Heel.
Mm-hmm.
The band Heel. That's one of the bands that Kim Yates is involved in.
Oh, I love Kim Yates. I've known her forever. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
She's a busy girl.
Something. People ask me how do I do all the things that I do, and I'm like, Kim runs circles around me, and I've worked for her at her haunt. Did shows with her back in the 80s. I know my band played with hers with Scarlet Angel at Feathers.
Yeah.
And a couple of other places back in those days. And they were just as nice to us back then, and just nice to us now. As a matter of fact, when we were at Essex Day the other day with 97 Underground, Michelle Armiger came by and said a few words, and I think they've got some announcements which I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag with.
Right. Yeah.
They do have some announcements coming up that they're going to be making.
Right.
And I'm looking forward to that, absolutely. They've been, on my shows, numerous times, and I can't say enough, good things about them. 40 years Scarlet Angel, 40 years of Scarlet Angel.
Yeah, 40 years of Scarlet Angel, and I've been doing this probably myself with Cat since the late 60s.
Yeah,
so
right.
That was before Scarlet Angel.
Oh, so. Yeah, you got them beat. I'll tell you that. You definitely got them beat.
So I'm just very, very blessed to still be able to do what I do, and I have a lot of people that support me, and a lot of good friends, and a lot of good acquaintances in the the music scene, locally and nationally, internationally, and right now I'm not in a band per se, but I'm going to do some fill-in work, and but I've when people find out that I'm kind of free, not doing anything, I get a lot of my inbox explodes pretty much.
Oh yeah, well hey, you don't stay idle for long, I'll tell you that, huh?
No.
So well, Tom, thank you very much for coming on and sharing your stories with us. I've really enjoyed having you and talking to you. It's always a pleasure to run into you in person too. And
same here, Mike.
So you had mentioned that we can get the Black Widow CDs. You can get them, download them on like iTunes or anywhere you buy music online.
Yeah.
And the album's names, it was Satan's Playground, and what was the other one?
Soldiers from Hell.
Soldiers from Hell. Okay.
They sound like pretty evil, wicked. I didn't come up with those titles. I can't remember who came up with those titles back in the day. I was just a drummer. Cat wrote most of the lyrics.
Yeah.
And Johnny, our guitar player, wrote most of the music.
Oh, okay. I see. I see.
I just did the drumming. I used to kid Cat about, I don't know what you're singing. I don't know the lyrics. She said, "You don't know the lyrics of these songs?" I said, "No, I'm just paying attention to the music."
Yeah, that's what I do too. A lot of times, it's like there's songs that I've loved. I couldn't sing them for you, but I can tell you what the bass player's doing. That's where and I'm sure you're like me. That's where your ears go when you hear something. I'm listening to bass and drums first and foremost, and then yeah. So well, great. And I guess if anybody needs a drummer, they can find you on social media. Look up Tom Azzinaro, and there you are. Yep. Well, thanks again, Tom. We really appreciate you joining us and everything, and best of luck with the drumming. It's you're sounding great, doing a great job, and folks. So thanks again, Tom, for joining us tonight. We've had Tom Azzinaro with us, and thanks for sharing everything, your stories, and great to have you.
And again, thank you, Michael, for having me on the show, and it's the honor is, I'm honored. that you would even consider, little on me to.
Oh, well, you know what? You're part of our history, and that's what this show's about.
Thank you very much.
You've got a lot of great stories, a lot of great history, and that's the whole reason I put this podcast together to begin with, to try to capture that and archive it and have it where people can go and listen for years to come. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Folks, you've been listening to Tom Azzinaro, drummer, and thanks for listening. We'll see you all next time. Hey, folks, Michael Spedden. Thank you for tuning into our episode with Tom Azzinaro. Just some really great stories and a lot of great history with him. I always enjoy talking to him when I run into him, and I thought he would make a great guest that you would all enjoy hearing. So, again, folks, remember www.foulplayersradio.com, and also on YouTube, youtube.com/@foulplayersradio for all of our interviews. We have our video version on our YouTube page, as well as well over 300 episodes on our main website. So make sure you tune in for that. Support your local artists. Remember, shop small, buy local or buy local. Get those concert tickets, get those books, CDs, tickets to plays, whatever you're doing. Get out and support your local arts, everybody. This is Michael Spedden signing off. We'll see you all next time. And hit that like and subscribe button.